This one's going to, excuse me, this one's going to Story Club parents. Um, my goal is to basically just give everybody some messaging to help set expectations with what I hope to do moving forward. I feel like really right at this point, the I don't know the parents, but I know their kids, and I feel like the kids know a lot about me. When parents pop in, I try to be like polite and say hi, but I also understand they just came in from work. They're not really looking to hang out, have long chats, kind of get the kids, get home, figure out dinner, that sort of thing. It's like I feel like they're definitely busier than I am, so I try not to take up too much of their time. I feel like the disadvantage um, to them is like I don't have a door with one of those big meet the teacher signs. I don't have a door that says, or I didn't have like, I don't do parent teacher conferences or anything like that, or meet the teacher. Whether they did that one day in the summer when like the kids were coming in and, you meet your teacher and the teachers meet the parents and everybody figures out, who's who and what's what. I tend to like, I look for a way to help that doesn't put me in the spotlight. Uh, yeah, I'm not a big, I don't like attention. Um, so really the thing is right now is I've been doing work with Story Club. In there we have created stories and basically, played games that I think will be uh, helpful going forward with this, with all the social distancing. Um, to all right, a little bit about me. So my name is Shamari Tumaini Black. Again, this is something the kids know. Uh, I really enjoy. I like comic books. I like writing. When I was in first grade, I was given this writing assignment by my teacher. It's just a creative writing assignment. Write a story, fill in draw some pictures, whatever. But I didn't want to do that, so instead, I just pretty much wrote a transcription of The Return of Swamp Thing with Heather Locklear in it. I think this must have been 91. Um, so of course I got found out. This kid, Paul Hudson, heard me, explaining the story to the teacher, and he totally just kind of said like, "Oh, hey man, that sounds like Return of Swamp Thing," and I was kind of put on the spot, and so anyway, after she calmed down, my teacher told me, to go write an actual story. So I sat down and wrote this story about it was a space leprechaun and this alien find a purple people eater, and they have to get it back to its home planet. And I really enjoyed doing that. So after that, I kind of got over really my fear of stories, and I was always writing when I was at home. Um, I've been writing since I was 7. When I was 16, I started college. There was a program. I think it's still going on. It's the Texas Academy of Leadership and Humanities. It's in Beaumont at Lamar University, and this engineering program I used to go to over the summer. Some guys came in. You talk about their program. College is a big thing with my family. I'm sure that's the same, across the board. But that was always something that was drilled into me: college, 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 college. And it looked like fun on TV, so I was like, sure, let me go do that. And plus, high school. So I started doing that, and it was super awkward. It was pretty lonely because you're 16 and you're surrounded by 18-year-olds, 20 somethings doing what they do, and it's like I can't do that stuff. So I'm kind of just by myself. There's other people that were in my program, but we were all strangers to each other. We didn't necessarily have classes together and stuff like that. So it was a great program, but it was just like super. It was super lonely to start. So what I did was I really got back into my writing with that, and I wrote this. It's essentially at the time it was a Christian response to Harry Potter, which was I think the movie was coming out by that point. So the books had been around for a little while, and it was really starting to hit that surge. And up until that point, like I'd read Narnia. I think there were the old BBC videos, the big movie with Liam Neeson as Aslan hadn't dropped yet. So I was always frustrated because my parents would never let me, read Harry Potter or any of the witches, wizards, magic stuff. That was always, excuse me, off limits. So I wanted to make something really that I hadn't seen yet, but something that I needed. So I wrote this story. It's about this boy. His name is Sabian. It's a typical chosen one kind of story because I grew up watching kung fu movies, and I did karate for about 5 years, middle school through high school. So I enjoy martial arts. That was a big thing for me. So in this story, the concept is he's essentially, instead of being a Buddhist or Tibetan monk up in the mountains learning kung fu and stuff like that, he's a Christian monk, but there's still like these physical methods that go along to help teach calmness and patience and stuff like that. So he knows this form of this technique. He knows this physical technique, and what he finds out is and what happens is he has to go on this journey and meet characters who are, to me, representations of like he essentially meets like an atheist. He meets he meets an agnostic. I'll say he meets an atheist. He meets people who who have other belief systems, and to me, the book is about him dealing with that, trying to exist in a world where it's not that his belief is constantly being questioned, but it's kind of like how do you accommodate these other people that don't believe what you believe? Like, is it okay to be friends with them? And then if you do become friends with them, is like, does that make you kind of a worse Christian or something like that? Like, those are to me what's happening in the story. And that's, I guess, more on the emotional, cerebral side. The physical side of what's going on in the story is he has to defend himself and fend off actual, literal demons. Again, at the point that I wrote it, I don't know. I was standing in line at it was the dining hall it was the dining hall on campus. Again, this was 16. I was at Lamar University. I saw this woman standing in front of me in line, and she had this T-shirt on. I think it was one of like those No Fear T-shirts from, again, late 90s. And hers on the back had a scripture, and I guess like the translation, or it was a verse, like Psalms or Proverbs, chapter verse, and then this quote, and the quote said, I'm the Christian the devil warned you about. And I thought that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. I thought like it would be really great if there was an action hero who could literally face down this demon and say that to them. So that's kind of from page one, like that's leading to like this final fight where he has to fight this little demon who's trying to take over the world, storm the gates of heaven, that sort of thing. Yeah, so it's kind of this actiony spiritual story that I wrote for young people at that time. A lot of the students in class in this, or not, well, a couple of students in school right now, they have copies. Some of them have finished it already. I think one of them's doing her book talk around the story. And really what I wanted to do was kind of provide some safe spaces for entertainment. I feel like right now, um, as parents, like you're trying to, especially right now, you everybody's stuck at home. You're trying to find something good for them to do. Maybe they can go outside for a walk. Oh no, maybe the park is crowded. We have to go back home. You don't want them sitting in front of their screens all day. Um, and even if they are, it's like, well, what are they watching and who are they watching it with? So something I thought would be nice is if I did just read a chapter from my book and post it, so that, excuse me, your student, you as a family, you guys could just sit down and listen, and just give you like a quiet hour, if I can. Before I came to Central, I was actually in Los Angeles working on scripts for children's television. Unfortunately, didn't. Well, maybe fortunately, now I think about it, it didn't take off. But I've got like all this material that I'm going to transcribe into I guess a radio plays is what I think of. Maybe now you call it a podcast, but not quite. But just those old those old timey. I don't even know, Little Orphan Annie, Captain Midnight, whoever you turned on the radio and you would hear the guy talking, and then somebody would bang a pot, and that was supposed to be thunder. So I want to put those together for the kids. And again, like I want to provide something that helps you get through your day and something that helps them get through their day. And I think them having something to look forward to every day is important. In times like these, you start looking for that light at the end of the tunnel. You start looking that anticipation helps to me as a healthy distraction. And I want to be clear, and I'm saying this more for more as a means to protect the school, because I've only been there just over a year, maybe a year and a half if you packed all my sporadic subbing together. I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't know all the promises, the charters and whatnot, or we made this promise to parents that we would not, or we would, and that sort of thing. So this, like with Story Club, I don't want to brand it CCS necessarily, because if I do something, I don't want it to come back on Noah or Paya because Mr. Black did this thing I'm doing. It's, please consider it independent. If what I'm saying now sounds good and then you listen to it and it sounds bad, just don't go to them. Send me an email. I'm shamar.black@gmail. That's the personal email. Just send it straight at me and be like, hey, you said this is going to be safe and my kid's scared because something happened to this giant dog or something like that. Don't don't send anything. Just send it straight to me. So two of the projects I will be putting out to students. One is it's called Sabian's Quest. That's the novel. It's about, I think, 500 pages, so plenty to work with. Plenty to work with. It is available. Oh, it's available on Amazon, like the Kindle. If you guys want to do like a read along, I don't know how long it'll take to get the actual book sent by mail, or even if you want to roll those dice or not. So you can listen. If you got it, you can read along. The other project, this was a feature film script that I put together. It's a fairy tale based around the heroic origins of the big bad wolf. And I made that because, I thought it would be like a slam dunk, Disney, Nickelodeon thing or whatever. It definitely opened a lot of doors for me, but it never took off the way I thought it would. But I enjoy it. And again, it's safe. It's a fairy tale. I promise you that it's a fairy tale. I'll have a slideshow to go along with it if you want to have the visual aspect along with it. But again, like most of this is just going to be something you can uh, listen to and be good from there. Um, if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email at my business address sblack@centralschoolstl.org. If it's a good email, send it to send it to Central. If it's a bad email, just send it to Gmail, shamar.black@gmail.com. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm around virtually. All right.